While my husband was away on a 2-week work trip to Seattle, I found myself with more free time and quiet than I knew what to do with. The house felt different without him. Our dog, Cooper, seemed to notice the absence too, pacing the living room every evening around the time Michael usually came home. Cooper would look toward the door with those big, expectant eyes, tail twitching in hopeful bursts that always faded when no one walked in. I tried to keep our routine as normal as possible, morning walks around the block, breakfast with the radio playing, and my own work-from-home schedule in the corner of the kitchen, but there was a strange emptiness in the air. That's when Sarah, my oldest friend since college, decided she wasn't going to let me drift into loneliness. She texted me on Michael's second day away, "I'm coming over tomorrow. We're going to make this fun. And Cooper's going to help." Sarah was the kind of person who brought life into every room she entered. We'd known each other since freshman year, when we were both just figuring ourselves out, and over the years she'd become more like a sister than a friend. She'd been around for holidays, late-night pizza marathons, and even the day Michael proposed to me. But life being what it is, we didn't see each other as often these days. She showed up the next afternoon wearing a baseball cap, jeans, and her signature messy braid, holding a reusable grocery bag that looked suspiciously heavy. "What's in there?" I asked, greeting her at the door while Cooper barked happily and bounded toward her. "You'll see," she said with a grin, setting the bag on the counter and dropping to her knees to hug Cooper like she hadn't seen him in years. "Who's my favorite boy?" "Huh. Who's the best boy?" Cooper's tail was a blur. He loved Sarah almost as much as he loved me. Once she showered him with affection, Sarah revealed the contents of her mysterious bag: 3 dog training books, a squeaky rubber bone, a couple of tennis balls, and, this part made me laugh, matching red bandanas for us and Cooper. "What exactly is your plan?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "Simple," she said. "We're going to teach Cooper something new while Michael's gone. That way, when he comes back, we can surprise him. A little look what you missed moment. Plus, it'll keep both of us busy." I agreed, partly because I thought it would be fun, and partly because I knew Sarah wouldn't take no for an answer. That first afternoon, we spread out in the living room, Cooper sitting in the middle, head cocked curiously. Our mission: teach him to bring us specific items on command. It started easy. "Fetch ball," Sarah would say, tossing the tennis ball across the rug. Cooper would chase after it like a pro, but half the time he wouldn't bring it back, choosing instead to flop onto the floor and chew it. We laughed so much that our stomachs hurt. Eventually, we got him returning the ball, though it required a steady supply of tiny treats. The next few days fell into a rhythm. Sarah would come over in the afternoon, sometimes bringing iced coffees, sometimes baked goods. We'd sit on the porch with Cooper at our feet, chatting about everything from work stresses to her latest dating disaster. Somewhere in those hours, I realized how much I'd missed having her close, how easily we fell into old patterns of laughter and shared glances that said more than words. There was one evening, about a week in, when a storm rolled through unexpectedly. The rain came down in sheets, the kind that turned streets into rivers. We were in the middle of training Cooper to fetch blanket when the lights flickered and went out. For a moment, it was just the sound of rain, wind, and Cooper's tags jingling as he trotted back with the blanket in his mouth. Sarah laughed in the dark, the sound warm and steady, and I felt a strange swell in my chest, something like comfort, but deeper. We lit a couple of candles and sat on the couch with Cooper between us, wrapped in the very blanket he'd just retrieved. Sarah told me a story from when we were 21, about the time we tried to make dinner in her tiny apartment and accidentally set off the smoke alarm, sending us running into the hall in our socks, laughing until we couldn't breathe. I hadn't thought about that in years. Over the next few days, Cooper's skills improved. He could bring us the blanket, the ball, even a specific squeaky toy. But the real surprise was how these afternoons with Sarah changed something in me. I found myself looking forward to her visits with an eagerness I hadn't felt in a long time. Not because I was lonely, though maybe I had been, but because she reminded me of a part of myself I'd nearly forgotten. On Michael's last day away, Sarah and I took Cooper to the park for a final training session. The air was crisp, and the leaves were starting to turn. We walked along the path, Cooper trotting happily between us, and Sarah told me she'd been offered a job in another city. She wasn't sure if she'd take it yet, but I could see in her eyes that she was leaning toward yes. The thought of her leaving made my chest tighten, and I realized that these 2 weeks had been more than just a distraction from Michael's absence. They'd been a reminder of how important she was to me, how much history, loyalty, and unspoken understanding existed between us. When Michael came home that evening, Cooper put on the best show he could, fetching the blanket on command, delivering the tennis ball, and wagging his tail like a champion. Michael laughed, impressed, and hugged me tight. "You two must have worked hard," he said. I glanced at Sarah, who was smiling but with a softness in her eyes. "Yeah," I said quietly. "We really did." Later, after Michael had gone upstairs to unpack, Sarah stood in the doorway, ready to head home. "Thanks for letting me be part of this," she said. "Thanks for being here," I replied, and I meant it more than she probably knew. As she walked down the path, Cooper whined softly at the door, and I felt the faint ache of knowing things were about to change. But whatever happened next, these 2 weeks would stay with me, an unexpected chapter of laughter, storms, and quiet moments that had reminded me just how much love there can be in friendship.